Now, this is a very important thing. Indigenous cultures understand that the placenta, they believe it's like a guardian angel or like a spiritual twin for the baby. The placenta is there solely to protect the baby, to siphon off as many toxins as it can so that they don't reach the baby or make the baby sick. The placenta will break down its own body in order to make sure that the baby is nourished. In what's called a lotus birth, which are people who are getting conscious of what I'm talking about and leaving the baby attached to the umbilical cord and the placenta until it falls off naturally, 2, 3, 5, 7, however many days it takes. 5 days after birth, that placenta is alive and still pulsing when the baby is nursing. Okay, the placenta is still responding to the baby's needs getting met and to the baby being nourished. And in indigenous cultures like Bali, fathers have very strict protocols that they must follow to protect their baby's placenta, because they know if the wrong people get their hands on it, that the baby can be negatively influenced by dark spirits throughout its life. There's a deep spiritual thing happening between the baby and the placenta. We're cutting our children off not just from physical blood, stem cells, oxygen, but from a profound spiritual bond that they have with their placenta. And then we're in a culture, which is again satanic infested, encouraging mothers to consume their baby's life force. And mothers are proudly doing this and talking about it all over the internet, having their placenta cooked and encapsulated.
Wow.
Okay. Now, it's a huge movement. Look up the encapsulation of the placenta. Look up eating placentas. They're trying to make it illegal in the UK now. It's become a real big fad. But let me stress, the placenta has enormous medicinal value for the mother. Okay? If the mother is hemorrhaging and the placenta has come out, if you can give the mother a piece of the placenta to suck on, the hemorrhage will stop. Okay, if the mother is experiencing postpartum depression, she's experiencing it precisely because of birth trauma and because of a breakdown in bonding with her baby, which I'll talk about in a minute. If she consumes the placenta, the postpartum depression will go away. So the placenta does have medicinal value. I don't want to undermine that. In instances, it can be very helpful to the mother, but the mother would be wise to acknowledge that this is her baby's life force that she is consuming, and her baby would probably want to help her and be happy to help her. But let's acknowledge what we're doing, at the very least, to give thanks to our children. And the baby's also going to leave stem cells in the mother's body. After the baby is born, those stem cells will be in the mother's body for the rest of her life. And if the mother has a disease, those baby stem cells are going to go and try to fight the disease of the mother and to heal her organ. Okay, so our children are doing an enormous service to us. Enormous, and we don't realize it. Just as the placenta is doing an enormous service to the baby. Even though the mother helps to build the placenta, it belongs to the baby.
And that's why they're harvesting the stem cells now. They even have stem cell blood banks where you can buy the stem cell blood, the cord blood that's been stolen from the baby. And, of course, they're using that for all kinds of experiments as well.
Yes, and also all kinds of consumption during rituals, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes. So we want to be aware that we don't want anybody to get their hands on our baby's cord blood or their placenta. If you try to get them out of the hospital, the baby's placenta out of the hospital, you're going to be met with some resistance, but you need to do it. You need to avoid the hospital, period. That's my thought. I mean, ultimately, if our children are hurt during prenatal care or during the birth process, it will cause our relationships to break down over time. When a father witnesses his partner or his child being abused, and he is unable to step up and protect them because he is in a fascist environment called a hospital, there's severe trauma for the father. And when he can't protect the child, the mother will begin not to feel safe with the father. The mother will no longer trust that the father can protect and defend her and her children, and the relationship will begin to break down over time. This the dark forces know. They know their objective is to break down human love and to cause dissociation, to make the body inhospitable to the soul, so that the body can be programmed, it can be demonically programmed to actually become a police officer or a military man or an Israeli jet fighter that's going and blowing up children, Palestinian children, who are playing on the beach.
Or a doctor who continues to do these things in hospitals, or an attorney who continues to sell out his client for cash, or a CPS worker who steals children from good families. The list is endless.
Yeah.
And oftentimes this realization that the dad is not protecting, it's probably going to be on a subconscious level. It may not even be on a conscious level, but it's going to always be there in the background. Same thing with the male circumcised child. One of the things that Rich talks about is the damage that occurs to male-female relationships, because the same thing holds true for the child. Subconsciously, mom allowed him to be tied down and have his foreskin cut off, oftentimes with no anesthesia, so he's perceiving the same thing, that mom did not protect him. This may be largely responsible for problems in male-female relationships down the line. You know, why men become domestic abusers, and there's many factors. It's always the big picture. But I'm just saying these early experiences are definitely involved.
Circumcision is a very extreme primal wound, and I want to stress that it is ritual sexual torture. Okay, these infants, these are newborn infants who are placed inside of a board that has a nice little cutout that fits the little infant body. And you put the little infant into the board, and you strap his legs down, and you strap his arms down, and usually they're covered with a sheet with a hole in it where the penis is. And some nurse or somebody will come in to get the penis erect in order to make the penis easier to work with. And then the psychopath in a white coat will systematically first crush the glands with an instrument. Okay, they have to tear the foreskin off of the glands. Literally rip it off from the penis, from the head of the penis, the glands, and then systematically cut it off, which can take 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, of course, depending on the skill of the so-called surgeon. And this they are doing 96% of the time in the United States without any form of anesthetic whatsoever. And anybody that's interested to understand what an infant is going through need simply go to YouTube and watch a video of a circumcision happening and listen to the screams of the infant, the likes of which you will never hear anywhere else in your life unless you are a victim of satanic ritual abuse. That is what this is. At some point during circumcision, the baby will stop crying. This is the point at which disassociation has happened, or dissociation. Okay? This is the point at which the spirit must leave the body. The body goes into parasympathetic shock, which is similar to what happens in the wild when an animal plays dead to save itself. If an animal can't flee and it can't fight, very often it plays dead, which is what a human body will do as well. The heart rate will slow down. All the blood will come into the heart to try to sustain the life of the baby that is being tortured, whose body cannot process the overwhelm of the abuse, of the betrayal, and of the physical pain of circumcision. Once dissociation has happened, once the body kicks into parasympathetic shock, you'll see the eyes glaze over. There's nobody in there. The soul has gone. All right, it has checked out. That is when programming can begin, and that is what they are seeking.